everyone, I'm Meesh. I'm from Anam, Cara, Apothecary and Artistry, and I'm also a member of the Mystic Arts Coven. We are based here in the Austin, Texas area, and we are considering starting a podcast, and we have a few other things up our sleeves that we are talking about doing, and I just thought I would put this one out there, this little video here, and just kind of test it out, do a little test run. So as part of my test run, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a tarot card reading. I'm using the World Spirit Tarot, which I really love. So my friend Paul, he's a performer in the Renaissance Fair Festival circuit, and his wife Lauren Onsa O'Leary is a belly dancer. So Onsa and her friend Jessica created these cards, and what I like the most, I think, other than the fact that they're absolutely beautiful, is that I like the story behind them. So the basic gist is that they are wood carvings, and so that kind of means that they all had to be done in reverse before they were inked, and cards were created from them. And I really just like the idea of that. So as a tarot reader, I am very, very new, but I do find that tarot and even pendulums and things like that do help me kind of tap into that intuition, into that, the guides and the higher source. My voice is able to be found a little more whenever I'm doing something like this. And I like that I can do this, and then I feel like I can kind of connect a little bit better. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be taking a spread from Lion Hearts, which I follow on Instagram. And this one is the Super Moon in Virgo spread. And the first one is, where did I grow this moon cycle? And then the second card is, what do I accept or give closure to today? And the final one is, how can I use the super moon to manifest? So I kind of figured that I'll draw a card and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm shuffling them, and my shuffling technique might be different than others. These are, they're tarot cards and they're kind of big. So I find that it's best if I just kind of shuffle like this. Seems to work the best for me. I've tried other methods and it just kind of is a mess. So while I was shuffling just now, this card fell out. So this is the Seeker of Wands. So what I like to do whenever I am trying to look at my cards is I really like to look at the pictures that are there and really try to see, okay, well, what am I getting from this image? And if you look at it really carefully, other than the beautiful artwork and amazing colors, what you're seeing is someone on top of a horse. There's a flame, or some flames that are coming there. They look like they might be out in the desert because you've got some succulents, cacti. At the same time, though, the person that is there looks really, really relaxed. So I don't know a lot about this particular card. So what I do, and of course this is, for you beginners just like me, is I use the book. But what I like to do is I like to consider, well, what is the book telling me, and then what do I think is coming from that? So if I find the Wands, the Seeker of Wands, so it's got a lot of information here, and so usually what I do is I just kind of skim it, and then I kind of go down to what I think is really the most important aspect of the information itself. Because I think with anything, whether it is runes that you're using, or whether, it's palmistry, or, I don't know, even Reiki, really, I think any of those kinds of things, a lot of it is just like what you yourself personally interpret. Just like whenever it comes to the whole idea of, hey, we're going to do a ritual, and you have to do this, and you have to do this. I don't really follow that way of doing things. It's kind of like, what makes the most sense to you? What seems to fit most with you? And so as I'm looking at this, one of the things that it says is that the Seeker of Wands is someone who can hold their audience captive with tales of action and adventure, but yet they can also be kind of unreliable. And you definitely see the kind of playful character that's there on the horse. The other thing that I'm seeing here is that it says the personality is constantly on the go, loving movement and just, doing things. And then it says life is one big game to him. Tomorrow he will be galloping off again to his next conquest. He is the first to pick up a new cause, but also the first to drop it when something more exciting comes. So kind of what that makes me think of is that you've got people in your life that don't ever seem like maybe they don't stick around, or, you know, they're kind of those fair weather friends. Or maybe it could also be the kind of thing where it's like you see the grass is greener kind of thing. That's not always the best thing, though, because just because it seems like it's better over there doesn't necessarily mean that it is. And so that's kind of what I'm getting from that. And then if I look to see kind of what the rest of this says, it says it may symbolize a need for change of scenery, or someone who is adventurous but yet rather rash. And so you might have to consider how to handle that. But then it also says he may be pointing to tendencies within yourself to consider. So connecting this back to myself, I would say, well, I have a tendency to be super idealistic and to want to do all the things, you know, because, well, that's where all the fun is, doing all the things, constantly want to be on the go. But by doing that, you're kind of, you know, you're letting go of obligations that you might have, or you might not be fulfilling those obligations that you need to your family or to your friends. And then you're not strengthening those relationships because you're trying to make these tenuous threads between you and others. And that's not necessarily the best way to be. So to me, this is more of a release kind of a thing. Like notice and release that in yourself so that you're not flaky. You're not that person that others can't count on. Because unfortunately, you know, in this world, there's so many of those people out there, and it's like you don't want to be that person. You want to be someone that you yourself can count on, but then also those that love you and that are your friends can count on you as well. So I would say that this moon cycle, going back to the supermoon in Virgo spread by Lionheart, where did I grow this moon cycle? I'd say that I have been growing in this area of noticing that I have a tendency to do that, and making sure that I'm trying to keep my connections stronger, like strengthen the connections that I have between my family and my friends. And I'm doing a better job of checking in on people and noticing, oh, they have a certain look on their face, maybe I should check in. Or, hey, they haven't been feeling well, let me go see how they're doing, you know, things like that. Or, oh, I haven't heard from that person in a long time, maybe something's going on and I need to check in. So that would be where I could say that I grew this moon cycle. And it was kind of cool because it just fell out. All right, so again, I'm learning here as maybe you're learning with me. So for the next one, so I'm going to give it a little shuffle again because I had them out of my hands for a while and that just seems what I should do. It feels right to me. It says, what do I accept or give closure to today? So the one I drew was the Sybil of Pentacles. So, you know, she kind of looks like a queen sitting on a throne. She's got a snake. Looks like there's the pentagram. Looks like there's some crops or something in the background. Clouds, sun. She's barefoot. I like that. Are those roses, I believe? Yeah. So I don't know a lot about that. I guess Pentacles, is that an air sign maybe? I'm not really sure, to be honest. So again, that's me learning. Needing to learn a little more. So let's see what it says in my lovely little book. It says there's a temple in the background, which when I was glancing at it through the camera, I couldn't see that, but I do see that now in the very, very background there. Kind of looks Aztecian, for lack of a better term. So one of the things it says is that she loves her body, the earth, and life itself, which I think you can kind of see that just based on the fact that she's smiling and she's barefoot. You know, whenever you're barefoot, you're touching the ground, you're definitely connecting with that energy in the ground and you're pulling it up into yourself, which is always a nice feeling to do. Another thing I like that it says, she moves in deep communion with the world around her in harmony with nature's rhythms. She remembers the teachings of her ancestors and understands the cycles of fertility. There are times of birth, growth, and dying back. She's a caretaker. She knows her own magic and in her self-awareness finds a potent confidence with which to live. Her life is rich and full. She can easily be generous. Maybe someone who is sensual and grounded and someone you can turn to for nurturance, but it also calls on you to find some of your earthly qualities in yourself. When she appears in a reading, self-trust is the most important quality she asks you to cultivate. So if I'm looking at what do I accept or give closure to today, something I've been wanting to work on for myself is trusting in my intuitive knowledge to do what I know is the right thing to do, whether it is on a path or whether it is making decisions, because I have a tendency to have a difficult time with that. We Libras, we're constantly going back and forth between all the possibilities. And then that kind of seems to flow back with what this says about the whole, trust in yourself to make the right decisions. Make sure that you're connecting and using that connection to help you understand where you need to go. And trusting in that is the right thing to do. So then what do I accept or give closure to today? I would say that it's an acceptance of the fact that I need to do that. Okay? So then the last one says, how can I use the supermoon to manifest? So maybe what can I manifest in the supermoon? Let's see. Okay, another symbol, the symbol of cups. She's a pretty lady. So you basically have a mermaid there, right? And the sea. Got a lot of things going on there. She is sitting on a throne of sand. She's got a very lovely, luscious hair. Okay, so I'm kind of curious what this means. So the cups, if I remember correctly, would be definitely a female. The swords is the male and the cup is female. So the symbol of cups, let's see what it says here. Draws from the deepest source of love, unlimited nurturance to give, offers her love unconditionally, truly sensitive to others' feelings, offers sound guidance without judgment, a natural channel for dreams, visions, and emotions, all things of the unconscious that rise up to inform our waking reality. So I guess if you're kind of thinking of water in some ways as kind of being the unconscious, let's see. She has learned to blend her imagination with action, keeping a vital connection to both her inner and outer worlds. So it asks you to enter into your own landscape and embrace the deep and paradoxical realm of feeling. She may come into your life as a loving and intuitive person, or she may be a part of you calling to be brought forth. So how can I use the supermoon to manifest? I would say it's more like a what. So kind of going back to the symbol of pentacles with trust in myself. Trust in myself to use my intuition to connect with my higher self and with the greater good is kind of how I'm looking at this. So then the higher self would kind of be like that internal, everything. And then the greater good would be the outside, the external, all the different ways that you can do that. But then you kind of have to think it's easy to be overwhelmed. So you got to make sure that you're picking and choosing the right things, which I think is where the trust and listening to that trust would be. So you just listen to me do my own tarot reading. Perhaps that may or may not help you. If nothing else, might kind of give you a little insight into, hey, I'm new at this too. How might I start? Because trust me, I'm super new. So maybe you being new at it, you won't feel quite so nervous about it. You can't really get it wrong if you're doing it too much for yourself. I know a lot of people have a hard time reading for themselves, but I feel like for me, it's a little easier because I know myself. And I feel like whenever I pull a card out, it's very much like, oh, that was the one that you were supposed to have. So I think it's actually harder for me to do a pendulum for myself as a reading. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Perhaps I'll be able to post a few more things soon. And as I, continue on my learning progress, my process of the progress, and look out for Mystic Arts Coven and for some things coming up in the Austin area that we're going to be involved in and that we're going to be putting on. Look out for our podcast that will be, happening within the next year or so. We've got some ideas. There's 3 of us. So, magic of 3s. So thanks for joining me. Hopefully you have seen that it's not that difficult and you can try it too. Thanks.